Hello there and welcome to Quick Learn Photography, straight to the point videos that teach you everything that I've learned in over the last 10 years of professional photography. My name's James, and in this one we're going to talk about how to get a white background when it comes to studio and portrait type lighting. So like that thing there, that's pretty big, you can only see half of it, but how do you get a pure white background with your subject? Well, there's quite a few different ways, and I'm going to demonstrate how it's done, because sometimes, let's say you're doing professional work for clients, they actually want a white background. Now, if you saw the previous video about fall off, then sometimes even if the background is white, depending on the light source, and it's very rare that you're going to get that white with the light in front of the subject, because the fall off gets darker and darker, so it starts to look more grey and it can eventually go really, really dark. So it doesn't look white, and it's quite a hard thing to do. So in that kind of situation where you want a pure white background, you have to add light on the background, like these ones here, okay? So the background didn't naturally look that color, that was adding the light. It is white, but it would have been dark because the light hitting the subject wouldn't have lit the background up like that. So I had to add separate lights to, or just one light behind the subject. I'm going to go through it in a minute. You have to add light and light up the background, and it makes it look white. There are other techniques as well where you can shoot through a big white reflector, that sort of thing, but we're just going to keep it simple, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Unfortunately, it means you need more lights and more stands, and I just use umbrellas for that usually, but we're just going to keep it simple, okay? So let's have a look at the demonstration and I'll show you how to get a white background. Okay, so we're just going to do a simple portrait and light up the background. So we've got a main light there, which is going to light up the front of the subject. And then we've got two simple speed lights facing the background. So they're behind the subject, as you can see. So they're not going to light the front of her up, just the background. Now they're off at the moment and this one's on. So what we're going to do is take a photo. So actually it's not on because the trigger's not on. So I'm going to take a photo. The settings I'm at, it's not going to let a lot of light in. Okay. So it's just a little flicker of light coming in because the sun has just decided to come out, which is really annoying. Right. Let's turn this on. This is off camera flash and the big light up there is A. Okay. So that's up there. It's a bit more, that's like twice as powerful as a speed like that, but you can still do this with a speed light. So let's take a photo just with that light, and there's no background light. There you go, lovely. So it's a nice portrait. If I was doing more commercial corporate, I may have two of those, one there and one there to make it even, but just for demonstration purposes, happy with that. Now you can see the background is getting darker there. That's called fall off, which the last video went into, and that's because that light, the fall off from it, is getting darker and darker behind the subject. So now what we're happy with our exposure there. I've already got the light set up. I don't want to be faffing around trying to get it right. I've already done that. So what we want to do is make the background white. So I'm going to turn those two on. So both the lights behind are on now, and they're going to light up the background. So let's take a shot. And there you go. Look at that, it's blasted the background. Now in the editing, you can make that pure as anything, but it's looking pretty good to me there on the back of the camera. That's a nice white background. That's really good. Now what I'm going to do now is turn that one off, which is the main light. So now we're going to take a shot where it's just the two lights behind, a light in the background, but that is off now. So let's see what happens. So there you can see what's happening. So whichever way you want to engineer these shots, you can either light up the background first until you're happy, or light the subject first, then the background. So you can see what the two lights are doing there. A little bit of spill is coming sideways, like from the lights, it's bouncing around the living room a bit. You can control those more with soft boxes, so you could put them on there as well, so it really controls the light. So let's turn the big one back on again. So all of them are back on again. Let's take the shot. Lovely. That is just what we're after. Now, you can do this with one light behind if it's a singular portrait like what we're doing. So this one here could light up quite a broad space. So what we're going to do is just use the one light behind the subject. So what we've done here is we've just put this behind the subject. So obviously they're shielding the light behind. You can put small little diffusers on them like mag mods or little tiny things, but this is just a bare light for illustration purposes. So you put it behind the subject and it will make like a circle of light behind. But if you're only doing portrait, it's not so much of a problem. So let's take the shot. So here we go. It's just that light in the subject and one light behind, which you can't see. So let's take the shot. And that's kind of done it. Lovely. Yep. Let's preview that again. That's done the job. Now, if it was in landscape orientation that way, you might be getting a bit of a sort of a halo effect around it, where the circle of the light is getting weaker. But for portraits like that, that's done it bang on. So let's turn that off again just to see, out of curiosity. So the main light is off, just the light behind her head, and let's see what happens. There you go. So you can see the effect of the light behind. Brilliant, so I hope that helped. Okay, so I hope that helps. It's a little bit more tricky, as in not difficult to learn, but a bit more complicated because you need more equipment and you need to be controlling more lights. And it's sometimes, you know, like for e-commerce and things like that, people do want a white background. So you have to kind of learn how to do it. It doesn't happen very often in my line of work. Most people are happy with the other sorts of portraits or whatever it is I'm doing. But every now and then you need that pure white background. So if you're using studio lights, then you need to do it. If it's a permanent light, you may get away with it, but you've got to be careful with flickering lights and different tones and sun rays coming in and all that. So if you're controlling the light like studio light and you want a white background, you control it. So I really hope that video helps, because you may come across a situation like I do from time to time where they ask for a pure white background, or maybe it's something that you want to do yourself. So I hope that helps, and practice, practice, practice. Now, if you want to learn a bit more with me, one-to-one, I do one-to-one coaching. The link is down below. Drop an email or get in touch. We'll have a discovery call and see exactly what you're after, what you need. You may need some real personalized coaching with something you might be struggling with or want to learn about photography. And if it's in my capabilities to teach it, it'd be great to work with you. So feel free to get in touch and we can arrange some one-to-one coaching. So if that's something that you might think that would help, the link is down below. So yeah, get practicing with a white background. It's a good skill to learn to have. You may not even need to do it very often, but it's something that you will one day need to learn how to do the more advanced you're going to get with your photography. And it's a good skill to learn how to do a white background. So hope the video helped.